He came to the bank with nothing but an old ID and walked out owning the entire building. They mocked the wrong man and lost everything in one signature. The marble floors of Horizon National Bank gleamed like mirrors. A crowd of executives in suits moved around like polished machines, their voices echoing beneath golden chandeliers. Through the revolving door walked Thomas Reed, a quiet, elderly black man wearing a faded brown jacket and carrying a small folder. His shoes were clean but worn, the kind that had seen decades of honest work. He stepped up to the counter and smiled softly at the teller. "Good morning, ma'am. I'm here to access my safety deposit box. Been a few years?" The teller blinked, uncertain. "Do you have an appointment, sir?" Thomas nodded, holding up his old ID, edges frayed. Before she could respond, a voice from behind cut through the air. "Sir, this area is for private clients only." It was Michael Garrison, the bank's senior manager. White, mid-40s, expensive watch, fake smile. He looked Thomas up and down, then chuckled. "We don't handle walk-ins for older accounts. You'll need to speak with public banking. 2 blocks down." Thomas calmly placed his ID on the counter. "This bank used to be my local branch." Garrison smirked. "Used to be, sir. But now we handle real accounts." When Thomas gently insisted, the manager's patience cracked. He snatched the ID, glanced at it, then tossed it on the floor. "There. Maybe pick that up where you belong." The room went still. Thomas's hands trembled slightly as he bent down, not from weakness, but from restraint. The security guard stepped forward. "Sir, we need you to leave." Thomas looked up, pain flickering behind his eyes. "You sure you want to do that, son?" "Absolutely," Garrison said smugly. "We don't entertain." Just then, the glass doors opened. 2 black SUVs rolled up outside. Out stepped David Reed, tall, mid-30s, sharp navy suit, gold tie, CEO of Reed Innovations, one of America's top tech firms. Cameras flashed. His assistant followed behind. He entered, speaking to his phone. "Yes, the $5 billion merger will clear once I sign at Horizon. My father wanted to see the old place before we closed it." "Yeah, poetic, huh?" When he looked up, he froze. Across the lobby, his father was kneeling to pick up his ID from the floor. The sound of his phone hitting the marble echoed. David strode forward, voice trembling with anger. "Dad, what happened here?" Thomas looked up quietly. "It's fine, son. Just a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" David's eyes locked on Garrison. "Who did this?" The manager hesitated, stammering. "Sir, I didn't realize." David's jaw tightened. "Didn't realize what? That the man you disrespected built this account 30 years ago? That he's the reason I'm here to finalize the largest deal this bank has ever seen?" Everyone stared. Thomas put a hand on his son's arm. "David, don't. Let's just go." But David's voice deepened, filled with emotion. "No, Dad." Not this time. He turned to the stunned executives watching from the mezzanine. "You just lost your biggest client. Effective immediately. Reed Innovations will move all assets elsewhere." The silence broke like glass. Within hours, the news hit the financial world. Horizon Bank loses $5 billion deal after racism incident. Social media erupted. People shared the story, furious and inspired. Clips of the confrontation spread everywhere. Garrison was fired. The board scrambled to apologize, calling it a miscommunication. But David wasn't done. Later that night, Thomas sat by the window in his small home, the same one he'd built with his own hands. David poured him tea. "You didn't have to do that, son," Thomas said softly. "I worked my whole life to stay humble." David shook his head. "No, Dad. You taught me to earn respect, not beg for it." He pulled out the folder Thomas had brought. Inside was an old deed, proof that his father had once invested in the land where the bank now stood. "You owned part of their foundation," David said, astonished. "They didn't even know who they were standing on." Thomas smiled faintly. "Sometimes the world forgets your name, son, but it can never erase your legacy." A week later, the Reeds announced a new initiative, the Horizon Foundation, dedicated to funding small Black-owned businesses denied by traditional banks. David stood beside his father during the press conference. Today isn't about revenge. It's about rebuilding dignity, one story at a time. Behind them, cameras flashed as the new banner unveiled, founded in honor of Thomas Reed, the man who believed in second chances. Months later, Horizon's CEO personally visited Thomas's home. "Mr. Reed, I'm deeply sorry for what happened. We lost more than a deal that day." Thomas smiled kindly. "Then learn from it. Money rebuilds walls. Respect rebuilds hearts." In a poetic twist, David bought the building that once humiliated his father. He turned it into Reed Community Bank, focused on equality lending. A plaque stood by the door. Every person who walks through these doors deserves dignity. Thomas visited quietly one morning, resting his hand on the plaque. Tears welled in his eyes. Guess I finally got my account back. At a small community event, Thomas spoke to a group of students. Don't let anyone measure your worth by what's in your pocket. Measure it by what's in your heart and how you treat people when you're the one holding the power. As the sun set behind the new bank, David looked at his father sitting by the glass wall, watching families walk in and out. You always said respect is the only currency that never loses value. And now, Thomas said with a proud smile, the world finally agrees. Respect the people who built the floor you're standing on.